All right. So we are forward again discussing falling back into toxic habits. And again, for me, it was connected to the workplace. Something about that place triggers me, y'all. I think that one of the things that it is for me is being around a bunch of people, right, that you wouldn't otherwise be around because you don't really have common interests. But one of the things I can segue into is this universal 7 year that we're in, which is, 2023. And again, if you hear this message later, it still applies because we're always dealing with spirit, right? We're always dealing with spirit. I don't care what year it is. But I accepted this job last year, and that was a 6 year. And that was, for me, it was a 7 year. That was a personal 7 year. So I took this job under a 7 year universal. It wasn't a universal, it was a personal 7 year. But if you know anything about the number 7, it is a spiritual number. It's a time where you should slow down because the energy of the 7 is slow, deep, and soul shifting. And it needs time for gradual digestion and integration. So I took the job and at a 7 year for me, and I was ramping up. So I was kind of just going against what that 7 was saying. But again, dealing with the fact that we are in this patriarchal, capitalist, white supremacist, or inferiority system, we have to go out here and earn money, right? So the job fell in my lap. I took it. And I'm thankful. One of the things, and that was the thing about my spiritual self, I was so working on myself that jobs was coming to me. I didn't have to go out here and try to search hard for a job. And so a 7 also is connected to retreat, a sabbatical, taking time away from the usual duties to study, research, and work on projects that will ultimately pay off. And so, like I said, the 6 year was 2022, and 2022 was a 6 year universally. And with that, it was more about connecting and doing all the things, working in that way. It was total opposite of the 7 year, generously giving, and going out there and giving out your projects, putting your projects out there and things like that. So the 6 represents that energy. 7 was opposite. So I'm 1 year ahead of all the universal energy. So I was in my 7 year, but the universe was in a 6 year. So it was more about the 7 years, more about reconnecting with the natural world, turning inward, planning, organizing, and setting up a wise trajectory and preparing yourself for another cycle, which will be another year, a universal year. And so, working in this universal 7 years, a spiritual year, I had some more lessons to learn, right, spiritually. And one of those lessons is to trust more on myself, my intuition, my feelings. If I feel that a environment is not right for me, I don't have to go back to my old ways, which was fear-based. I can leave those behind. I can walk away from that environment. I don't care how good it looks on the outside. If it's tearing me up on the inside, don't stay. Well, guess what? Spirit had another plan to let me get up out of there. And even though I was holding on, I was like, I can't believe I'm going back to these old ways, right? About this 7 year, it is a spiritual year for personal growth and evolution. It's a vital year to take a collective pause as you prepare for a massive reset. And the energy of the 7, it beckons us to go inward, quiet down, slow down, and sit with ourselves to study, analyze, ask questions, and peel our personal onions. As we contemplate bigger questions, deep shadows rise to the surface, both collectively and individually. And the 7 year is both spiritual and scientific. So along with tapping into our intuition, there's a drive to research, find, and analyze the data and quantify knowledge and information. Financial gain, however, is not the core focus during a 7 universal year. So no, we can't just go along with business as usual or place a band-aid or on a fractured economic system. However, putting a focus on money above all else will bring a harder lesson or a fail in 2023. Ding, 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 right? Now, I said that I wanted to be in environments that were nurturing and had ease, and I thought that's what I was entering. But ultimately, it turned into just the money. And the 7 universal year is telling us that is not what we are to focus on. It is a fail, and it was a fail. And it was an uncomfortable fail. And I'm not saying I failed. I would say it just was not where I needed to be. And I never liked the environment ever. I would say I had a moment where I liked the first office I was in. I felt like it was, a little bit more modern. I've been in some work environments that wasn't the best in terms of the office space, and it was open in that way. But something just did not sit right in that building. Me being a spiritual woman and empathic and intuitive, very intuitive. If you know anything about cardiology, I am a 6. Clubs, and I am also a 6 and then another 6. So I'm very intuitive, and I have to have a balance. But that space was just, something was off about it. Something was never right about it. I can't pinpoint it. I always go back to the people who were so-called been there the longest. Some ain't right with them. But something in that space was off. It never flowed right. It just never flowed. I never felt totally comfortable there. And I ignored that because I thought it was just me having to get acclimated. But that wasn't the case. So, again, this year is not business as usual, or placing a band-aid on your fractured economic system, on our fractured economic system. And so I am in alignment in terms of asking the hard questions right now, digging deep and being open to answers. And also this year is also a year to take time for healing, whatever that means to you. There is a numerologist named Dr. Juno Jordan that suggests that the invitation from the number 7 is for us to develop the right state of mind. The 7 universal year is an opportunity to do some deep soul evolving healing. How can we resolve long-held grudges, wounds, and affronts? How can we make amends? And how can we forgive and move forward without condoning egregious behavior? As we heal ourselves individually, it impacts the whole in a powerful way. And last but not least, the 7-year, universal 7-year. And again, I was in a 7-year when I started the job. And is to go with the flow. The highest expression of the energy of the 7 is the uncanny sense of flow and serendipity. I never say that word, I'm sorry. And in 2023, we are called to surrender to the unknown and embrace that which is out of our control. Developing a deep trust is worthy. And it's a challenge in a 7 universal year. So trust in the universe, trust in the flow, trust in self. We will make missteps, but we are here to learn from them. Your intuition never shouts. It's always a whisper. And during the 7 universal year, it really is a good time to create practices that allow you to hear your inner voice. Haul out the meditation, bring out that meditation pillow, your yoga mat, and get out into nature. Plant your garden, watch it grow, quiet down, read a book, take a class, unplug from your devices every now and again. And again, I was in my 7 universal personal year. This is a 7 universal year in 2023. I was in a universal personal year in 2022, and that's when I took the job. Now, I was going against that, but again, I slowly allowed those practices that was sustaining me spiritually, they slowly started going to the wayside. Not all of them, but a lot of them was because I got caught up in the world, right? I got caught up in all of the things I had to do, and I didn't nurture my spirit enough. So, I'm going to talk shortly about the root chakra and how money is connected to the root chakra when we get back. All right. Peace.